Greetings, y'all. What's up? This is Fair None again. And right now, about to drop another one on y'all. I got the video, the story of OJ, J-Bo playing. That's what I'm gonna be using as my instrumental story of OJ. That instrumental. So get ready for that. I claim fair use. Using this track because this video is being used for educational and instructional purposes and not commercial purposes. So I claim fair use. And with that being said, I'm gonna take you back to the beginning of this. All right. So you can hear this, and then I'm gonna go on my little speech that I prepared for you. But it's not all gonna be a prepared written speech. There's just certain things that I have to say, that I have to get down, and then I'm gonna speak to y'all freestyle. In the meantime, I'm gonna let y'all listen to this before I get started. And listen carefully, because there's some key shit I'm gonna talk about after.
Light nigga, dark nigga, poor nigga, real nigga, rich nigga, poor nigga, house nigga, feel nigga, still nigga, still nigga. I like that second. Light nigga, dark nigga, poor nigga, real nigga, rich nigga, poor nigga, house nigga, feel nigga, still nigga. OJ like.
I'm not black, I'm OJ. Okay.
House nigga.
Don't fuck with me. I'm a field nigga. Go shine cutlery.
Go play the quarters.
Where the butlers be. I'ma play the corners where the hustlers be.
I told him, please don't die
Over the neighborhood. That's your mama.
Take your drug money and buy the neighborhood. That's how you rent it.
Oh, good, yeah.
I bought every V12
engine. Wish I could take it back to the beginning.
I could have bought a place in Dumbo before it was Dumbo for like $2 million. That same building today is worth $25 million.
Guess how I'm feeling. Dumbo, dark nigga, phone nigga,
real nigga,
rich nigga,
poor nigga, house nigga,
feel nigga, still nigga, still nigga.
Light nigga, dark nigga, poor nigga, real nigga, rich nigga, poor nigga, house nigga, feel nigga,
still nigga.
You wanna know what's more important than throwing away money in a strip club? Credit. You ever wonder why Jewish people own all the property in America?
It's how they did it. Financial freedom, my only hope. Fuck living rich and dying broke. I bought some artwork for $1 million. 2 years later, it's worth $2 million. 3 years later, that shit worth $8 million. I can't wait to give this shit to my children. I'm trying to give y'all game for $9.99. 442 First week release date. Y'all taking advances when him and his niggas is taking real chances. This nigga is teaching life lessons, but it's presented in a way that most people won't understand and will find offensive. You know what I'm saying? So he's a billionaire. He's talking about there's a disconnect, right? And you on the gram put money to your ear, and we don't call that money over here and whatever, because like homeboy, he's sharing some stuff with you. I'm not saying it's positive or nothing like that. He's still one of them creeps, one of them devils and all of that. But at the same time, you taking advances when him and his niggas is taking real chances. That's something you need to think about. Stop taking advances. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm going off the course of my composure that I initially meant to hold. So that's done, right? that's done, and as I promised you, I was going to go ahead with the instrumental, and we're gonna go from there, and I'll start doing my speech. So here's the instrumental right here, and I'm gonna ask my boy to finish up for me right now what I was doing, because I'm gonna have to get serious, and he's gonna have to help me out here real quick. I'm sure he don't mind. Deal with that for me, please. Okay. Boom. All right. Like I said, my name is, they call me. I call myself because I don't have a name. A name is an advertisement to do business, right? So I reject that notion of like having a name anymore. What I use now is my appellation. So I call myself, and other people call me Fair None. I'm a resolutionary writer and speaker. So let me turn this down because it's a little loud, and I'm not going to be able to, I don't want to compete against it. Anyway, I'm a resolutionary writer and speaker. I'm a rebel, but I'm not one of them rebels like I don't got a chip on my shoulder and I'm not looking for anybody to fight with. And when I say I'm a resolutionary, that's a great distance from what I used to be. I used to be a revolutionary, and it carries a different energy. So right now, I'm a person, like the entire time, I've been working to make the world a better place, but I've been doing it in a way that carries the wrong energy, revolutionary. As soon as I decided I wanted to become a resolutionary, I started looking at things in a whole different way. Anyway, I'm not going to have too much time to explain all of this because I have about 3,167 words written, and then of course I want to go freestyle afterwards. And I believe that this camera is only going to afford me about an hour. So without any further ado, let me get to what I'm saying. Again, I'm Fair None, the president, founder, and only member of the Universal Intelligence Agency, a one-man organization, and forever this way it shall remain. This is part of an ongoing commentary about how I, as one individual, sees this beautiful world that we live in and what its problems are, and what we, the good people of the world who have chosen to be that way on our own, could do to help make this world a better place for us all to live in, not just for ourselves, but for the benefit of all of posterity. I characterize myself as a resolutionary writer and speaker. Emphasis on resolutionary, which means I want to help solve the problems. Now, I don't know if there's any other people around who think like me, and I have not met one person yet. I want to help resolve the problems that the people of the world are facing through identifying the sources of the conflicts that cause the members of the human family to deal with each other the way that we do. I have no time for dealing with peripheral manifestations of what the true problems of humanity are or may be. I want to get to the source. Before I delve a lot deeper into all of this, I first have some acknowledgments to make. First and foremost, forever and always, shout out to the mother and father of all creation. If there's a father, there must be a mother. I thank you for everything that you've ever done for me, seen and unseen. And I ask that you continue to protect me and shelter me and those that I love. In those instances that I'm known to go astray from your guidance and forget that I am under your grace, I ask for your continued understanding and forgiveness. Please continue to teach us your ways. Please continue to set us on a path of true enlightenment. Please continue to guide my steps as I independently set about a course that it seems that no one else wants to go. Now, I don't care if no one else wants to go there. I'll go there all by myself if I have to. And for those of you that do not know me, I speak with a little bit of music in the background. To me, it kind of keeps things interesting, and it sets the mood for the types of things that I want to say and how I want to say them. Right now, I want my vibe to be mellow, and I really want to get through to the people that I'm targeting with this message. So I don't want to be hyped right now. I know what type of music that I have to play when it's time to be hyped. let us hope it does not come to that. For YouTube and Facebook and whatever other platform that this correspondence may be seen or heard, I claim fair use again. I'm using this music as an educational and inspirational aid. It is not to be used commercially, but rather promotionally. And with that said, getting back to what I was saying, I was talking about the source. My ultimate goal, believe it or not, is world peace, to keep it short and simple. And up until now, I always characterized it differently. I always said that my actions are continuously geared towards helping to make the world a better place by using the edification of the darker skinned people of the earth, the African family, as a route to achieving that goal by using the benefit of knowledge or whatever other positive means at my disposal. This is still my goal, and I have not backed off of that one bit, and I will not either. This is the point where we separate the shit from the sugar, and I know for a fact that there's going to be a lot of people who are not going to like what I have to say. At least, actually, this is not the point. The point will come afterwards when I start. Right, next few minutes, I'll just start discussing myself for a little bit, so you can understand where I'm coming from, and then afterwards, that's when we're going to separate the shit from the sugar, because I'm not politically correct and don't expect me to be. I'm going about the things that I'm doing in a different way than other people that I see are doing it. So anyway, before I say those things, let me remind you of the title of this correspondence. The title of this correspondence is How to Start an Honest Resolution and Rebuild Our World at the Same Time, Part 3. The subtitle is called This World Needs an Enema. Do you know what an enema is? If you don't, guess what? You're about to find out. An enema is a technique used to stimulate stool evacuation, and there's no need to get into it any further. The point is that this is what the people of the world needs: stool evacuation, because they are full of it. What I am implying here is that the people of the world are full of shit, and it is manifesting in the appearance of many different diseases. Knowledge is the cure, but you cannot force feed knowledge to those who are not even aware that they are sick. They will not see no need for it. Sadly, there are those that know that they are sick, and they know very well what they need, but the reality of the truth is just too much for those individuals to bear. They fear that it would destroy them, and truth be told, in some cases, it probably would. By saying that the world needs an enemy, what am I implying here? Am I excluding myself from that bunch? No, not at all. In fact, I'll let you in on a little something about myself. It's kind of interesting, really. If most of you were and are honest with yourselves, you would be able to identify with what I'm saying perfectly. And what am I saying? What I'm saying is that there is at least two of me to deal in the world that I have to deal in right now. I've had to create like many different personalities within myself as a coping mechanism, and it's what the majority of you do as well. In fact, I don't know if there's anybody in our society that's not this way. I'm just pointing this out about myself. There's at least two of them. Now, there's many more of me, but I'll stick to these two that I'm about to describe right now. Now, I know what you're thinking. I just spent the last, I don't know how many minutes listening to a man who openly admits that he is crazy. First off, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not openly admitting anything. And I'm not crazy. At least not any more than any of you, which is really not saying much now that I think about it. And I'm not crazy. I'm just self-aware. And you should consider becoming that way as well. I know that I'm not perfect. Now let me ask you something. Could you ever admit that to yourselves, much less anyone else? And before you judge me, you should probably listen to what I have to say, because I may be making sense. By saying that there's at least two of me, in this instance, I'm relating to the man that I've always been and to the man that I am now becoming. They cannot occupy the same space. I have to make a choice. The choice has already been made. Now comes the follow through. And it's hard. Let me tell you, it's hard. And I'm not complaining though. I'm just letting you know. let me give you just a little slight taste of an idea of who else is inside of me so you can understand me a little bit better. Yeah, I know. I talk a lot about myself. Who else do you want me to talk about? You? Yeah, you probably wouldn't like that, would you? Besides, I'd probably get it wrong. You know why? Because I'm not you. There's that scared little boy inside of me. Life is so uncertain. There's so many questions that still go unresolved. So there he remains until I deal with him properly. Excuse me. There's that neglected little boy, adolescent, and grown-ass man who has yet to ever feel the warmth of his mother's genuine love. They have to be dealt with. Then there's an empath that has to learn to let go and finally realize that he cannot fix all the world's problems. He could only do his part. Then there's this obedient child inside of me that has full reverence for his parents, his heavenly parents, and the forces that have been assigned over him, and that he is quite well assured guides and protects him at all times, so that he does not become among those who transgress the limits, because the Most High does not like the transgressors. Then there's this force inside of me. Now, I don't know exactly how to describe it. I call it an angel of justice, the slayer of the wicked. He ain't no joke, and he don't fuck around at all. I don't even like to see it. And if I ever let him loose fully, anything test, dead. Problem is that he's hard to control, and I'm not sure of his nature, and I don't really know what to think of him. I keep him around because he keeps all the duppies around me who would even think of trying to do me harm at bay. And I wish that things were not that way, but I've come to depend on him for protection when the going gets tough. Then I got this more refined, sophisticated entity inside of me. Conscious, focused, calculating, precise, disciplined, patient, among other things. That is the man that I'm becoming. And these are just a few examples of the personalities that I have inside of me. At the end of the day, I only have basically two categories. There's the man that I was, and then there's the man that I'm becoming. They cannot both exist in the same space. The days of these unagreeable characteristics of the man I once was are coming to an end. I have chosen, and I believe that I have chosen well. The scared, uncertain little boy had to go. He's gone. He's almost completely gone now. Thank you, Mommy and Daddy, the father and mother of all creation, for the knowledge and guidance that you've given me. I have what I need now. By Mommy and Daddy, like I said, the father and mommy, mother of all creation. I hope you know what I'm talking about. That neglected little boy, adolescent, and grown-ass man that never experienced love from his parents and needed it so badly and like acted out in different ways, always seeking that love and whatever. Well, he began to heal when he discovered that the best love that one could have is love of one's own self. Now they're almost completely gone now, and there's no need to keep them around. That obedient child will always be there if I have anything to do with it, and so will a duppy slayer, because some duppies got to get slayed out here when the time is right. That's what justice is about, and that's what choosing to be a good man is about. Sometimes you got to deal with the wicked in a really rough way, but the wicked is here to stay, but you got to always continuously keep them in check, you know? Anyway, now, if you were a psychologist, you would probably diagnose me with being afflicted with a condition called DID, which is dissociative identity disorder. You might even say that I'm schizophrenic. You might be correct about the DID, but definitely not about schizophrenia. Nowadays, the man that I'm concentrating on becoming is the best man that I could possibly be personally. Simple. So that requires a lot of discipline, self-control, vision. I got to isolate myself from those who are doing differently than what I do. It's not easy, you know. And while I'm busy trying to get that accomplished, I'll be focusing on my other stated goals, because I'm not perfect and I don't expect to be perfect anytime soon. Now, when everyone alive today was born at one time or another, we were all born into a set of circumstances that were seemingly irrevocably set into motion long before any of us were conceived. Now, what do you think the chances of any of us having a positive, lasting impact on changing the order of how things were established long before any of us got here without even understanding the challenges that lie before us? What are the chances? Very low, right? Yeah, pretty much. And I'm not claiming to be a guru of any kind. I'm a regular guy, just like you. And those who know me will tell you that. Now, I don't think I'm blessed with any special or superior intelligence, and that doesn't mean that anybody should sleep on me either, because my brain has always served me quite well. And if I don't get the point right away, whatever it is that I may have missed, don't worry, I'll get it eventually through perseverance. Like I said, the reason that I'm speaking to you today is to make a point that the people of the world are full of shit. Now, how did I come to that conclusion? I did not just start doing this, Even as a child, I knew something was wrong with the people of the world. I knew that the world itself was fine and that we all live in paradise and that all these people are just messing it up, that's all. I started on this journey right after the challenges of my childhood, and I've been on this path for the majority of my adult life. And I did not know much when I started out, admittedly. But I was determined to somehow, some way, discover what was being hidden from me. I went down every possible turn that I could, and a lot of them were the wrong ones, and I suffered a lot of indignities just for being who I am and standing for the things that I have. But it did not matter. I stayed the course. I lived a full life like everybody else. I laughed and played and enjoyed my life and spent years in which I was in and out of consciousness. But that's over now, because I had a daughter and then a son. I had a wife, and shit got really real. There was people who was dependent on me now. And when I was single, I was able to make decisions for myself that did not affect anyone but me. And life was easy, and I was accountable to no one. I had to consider no one. It was all about me and my decisions and living with the choices that I made for myself. I had no responsibility and therefore no motivation to become the best man that I could possibly be. That began to change as my family began to grow. And what type of people would they be? What type of world would they live in? I already knew that the people of the world were messed up, and I had already resolved that one day I would be doing everything that I could do to make things right for posterity's sake. We are now living in those times. I got to where I am now in terms of seriousness by taking baby steps, one day at a time, and let me tell you, it's been quite a journey. I'm not complaining though, this has all been exciting to me. I'm alive to live in an age to be able to witness the people that have been denying the things that I've been saying for the past 25 years to become awakened to the truth of the things that I've been saying all along. And I don't know what would have happened to humankind without the advent of smartphones and social media. So much of the truth is out there now, and the genie is definitely out the bottle, and he has no intentions of going back in. In fact, there's nothing to go back into. The genie made sure to break the bottle when he got loose, because he just knew that one of y'all was going to get some bright ideas at some point. Now, I got to say that I'm pretty excited about that now, because as I look around, more and more people are becoming awakened every day. My wife and I have been together for almost 16 years now. In fact, she's no longer my wife. She's my friend. We got like a special relationship now. It's a little different. It's complicated. But anyway, it's been very hard having the views that I have and living the life that I've lived, researching and analyzing all of the data that I've come across with no one to bounce my ideas off of, especially the person closest to me. Sacrificing my old ways and developing new ones, losing my old friends who I am no longer compatible with, and constantly taking the road less traveled for the valuable insight that could be gained from such experiences. The good news is that about a week ago, actually about a month ago, something started happening. She started criticizing Babyland's system and stopped making excuses for it. At least that day she did. She did it a couple more times since then, and I'll never forget the feeling I had when I sat there and listened to her voice, her own concerns about how the system is running. Finally, I thought, wow, something or somebody, maybe even I, had gotten through to her. What are the chances of that happening? Right? Anyway, it didn't matter because I'm hopeful that she'll continue to open her eyes and see what I've been trying to show her all along. Like I mentioned earlier, I am no longer a revolutionary. I am a resolutionary with evolutionary intentions and methodology. It carries a different energy than when I considered myself a revolutionary. I am not revolting against anyone. I do not have to take a stand against anyone. I do not hate anyone, not anymore at least. I am currently taking a stand in favor of the good people of the world who wants this plane, and I use the word plane, to be a better place for us all and for future generations to live in. Ever since I focused on resolving the issues of this world by looking at it through a different set of lenses, I've been able to identify our challenges much easier than I ever had been able to before. Prior to this, I had undergone numerous paradigm shifts to get to where I am now. I produced How to Start an Honest Revolution and Rebuild Our World at the Same Time, Part 22, Top Shatter Mentality, only a few months ago. In that production, I illustrated how vulnerable Black people are to the changes that are currently taking place throughout the world. I even said, I used one word to describe our challenge. I said that if there was one word to describe the position of Black people's ability to face this new world order, I characterize the top word that I would use is unprepared. I advocated that Black people worldwide adopt what I called a top shatter mentality in order to survive these challenges. So I was saying a top shatter mentality where, okay, no matter what, we got to go out there and make this shit happen and stop the persecution from occurring. Whatever, like I believe that I kind of saw things a different way than I do right now. I kind of saw Black people as just being, like, not being in control of or having the ability to affect what's what we're afflicted with, and that all these people are doing us wrong, and we don't have an opportunity to or an ability to positively affect what's going on and reverse that. So since then, because every time I write a production and I express it, I have an opportunity to review it over and over and over again. And when I do that, review it over and over again, I begin to see the flaws in my philosophy. And also, I guess according to universal law and the law of attraction, since I am sincerely seeking the answers to many of the questions that I have, the universe arranges it in such a way that I learn the lessons that I need to learn in order to proceed to the next level. So since I made the top shotter mentality and I looked at the video over and over again, I realized, through many other things that I've been exposed to in terms of knowledge, that things were not quite how I thought it to be. So then I underwent another paradigm shift. Now, with that paradigm shift having occurred within me, I couldn't just go on and continue to spew just the same rhetoric that I was promoting before. I had to approach this from a different angle. And so since then, you may have noticed that the frequency of my productions was slowing down. In fact, they completely stopped. It was arrested because once again, I was coming into new knowledge that when I matched it up with what I knew at the time and the vibration that I was resonating on at the time had proven to not be compatible with what I am now willing to represent. I had to work that shit out. That's why none of you heard from me in a while. And that's why y'all have been hearing from me a lot on the radio now, and I've been expressing myself more confidently because I'm at a point now, for the first time in my career as a rebel on this planet, where I accept myself fully as a person. You know, my mistakes, my triumphs, my victories, and what have you. So when I'm faced with the challenges of people who have dissenting views from me, I don't find that intimidating at all because I know I have what it takes to represent myself in whatever way that is necessary to defend myself from any type of assault that's presented against me. You know, even if assault or even just statement or what have you. You know, if people want to match up against me on the intellectual level, well, I'm ready to do that. You know, and you know, if we go through a debate or whatever, and it turns out that you're right, at least for that moment, I will submit to your level of or to your argument if you can prove that you're right. This is not an ego thing for me. I sincerely want to see solutions to the problems of the world, and I want people to act upon what we know now. And it doesn't matter what they do. I'll continue to keep doing what I'm doing. And a lot of people tell me that I can't and that I'll never meet with any success. And all I do is put on my earplugs and I just do it anyway. You know, because I remember when I was involved in network marketing a long time ago. And, I was selling my products and stuff. And one of the speakers said something to me profound a long time ago. And I heard it a few more times since then. That don't be affected by the naysayers because they're going to be there. You know, like they told, some people say that the bumblebee is, by scientific design, should not be able to fly. But he won't listen to nobody, and he just goes on ahead and does that shit anyway. You know? So, like I say, I'm a revolutionary with evolutionary intent. Revolutionary because I want to help resolve the problems of the people of the world, and evolutionary because we are all who we are for a reason, and in terms of our development. In terms of our development, we all have somewhere to go, a destination that hopefully, in my opinion, we never fully arrive at, but constantly draw nearer to. So when I say evolutionary, because we all are who we are for a reason in terms of our development, everybody, that's why I say I can't hate anyone, because I cannot bring myself to have those feelings of hate for anybody, because if I was born into the Manson family and I was socialized into the methods of or subjected to his brainwashing and the methods of ill treatment towards others that apparently he promoted, then I would be the product of that environment. If I was raised in a Christian home, presumably, because that doesn't happen so much anymore, because children are influenced by other things, but Christian home, Muslim, whatever home where there's discipline being promoted and enforced, where children are being taken seriously, presumably the children are going to grow up with that kind of mentality to which their whole value system is going to be based on what they've been socialized into. So accordingly, the same applies to a Rothschild. or any Jewish person who's a Zionist or, even white supremacist or whatever. As a resolutionary, like I tell you, it carries a different energy. So now, the energy that I have right now inside of me, of course, at all times, I'm going to protect myself. I'm very, very confident in my ability to do that. I'm going to do that regardless of what anybody says, whatever force that established that says that I shouldn't do it, that I should rely on them, regardless of what my peers think or whatever. I'm not the type of motherfucker that anybody wants to be trying to put their hands on or to restrict me in any way from doing any fucking thing that I want to do on this planet without hurting anybody. As long as I'm not hurting anybody, you should not be trying to interfere with me in any way. That's the energy I'm carrying with me. And of course, I respect your right to be the person accordingly that you want to be. Of course, as long as you're not hurting anyone. Personally, I consider myself a steward, and a steward is somebody, it's like a steward is somebody that's been placed in charge to establish order. And I feel that all people that have been, that have chosen to be good on their own have the responsibility of finding out or discovering what goodness really is. Because if you're a good man or a good woman, right? If you consider yourself a good man or a good woman, that means that those around you that are bad, they have something to worry about. Those people, like, let me just give you an example, like the police, right? Let's assume that the police were good, because that's the reason why we give them the power that we do, right? But what we witness, for the most part, in some cases, not all, because there's a lot of good police officers out there, right? What we notice is an abuse of power. But assuming that they were good, the police have been placed there to uphold, at least conceptually speaking. We know it comes from slave patrol and all of that, and they there to keep us in order or whatever. But at the same time, police do a lot of good things, like they protect people from the weaker people in the society, from those who are stronger than us and stuff like that. But so imagine that everybody in society that was good was like that, like a police officer, that you could, they see something wrong going on in society. So now, being a good man does not necessarily mean that you're a weak man, but that's what it's associated with, because a good man in our society, what is it that we good men do now? we call the police, and the most that we'll do is tell our side of the story, what we saw, observed. But a real good man will take the matter personally, and as a steward, he'd be like, this is my area, we ain't having none of that shit in my hood. So a real good man is going to turn him up, flip him up, might even kill that motherfucker if necessary. You know what I'm saying? To preserve order in his area. But that's another thing to be considered. That's another matter. Kevin. Yeah, that's another thing. So that's a real. Yeah, I have it. Yeah. So and you're in the line of Anyway, a real good man, based on the conceptual concepts of what good really is, would deal with the situation himself, and then, of course, or he'd recruit other good men, and we'd find an appropriate punishment for violators of our local law, whatever that is. That's just my conception of what, just something that I envision like that as an example. But what does it say? What is the necessary prerequisite that we all know for evil to prevail? Is it not for good people to do nothing? That's all that's necessary for evil to prevail. So what we're dealing with now in the kind of society that we live in, where there's so much laziness, the concepts that we should have come to embrace at one time or another in our lifetimes have in order to maintain and preserve and promote a society in which there is less crime, or at least not as much as what we witness in our society. And crime, by saying crime, I'm saying just to trample on other people's um, rights and who they are. Like there's no general respect for people in society, and to prevent living in that type of society, it's going to require a great deal of people in the society to get real enough to acknowledge that they themselves are full of shit. And then, I'm just getting right to the point. You got to acknowledge that you're full of shit, each and every one of us, including myself. And then you got to get to a point where you practice stool evacuation, getting that shit out of you, one step at a time, baby steps. Because if you wasn't full of shit, then motherfuckers wouldn't be able to rape and rob in your community all the time. You know, you see what's happening. I mean, it's being dealt with in the wrong way. It gives rise to, okay, people are getting revenge and justice is being served. But that gets me to the point of how it's a cycle, because these people, a lot of these people that are being murdered in our societies, and because I was on a talk show about it today, right? Several talk shows describing my point of view. First of all, let me see how much more time I have in this production. So, okay, 41. I got 19 more minutes before I got to wrap it up. So, okay, I was on this talk show today, and they were talking about, violence in the Virgin Islands. How many people get killed this weekend? 3 people get killed this weekend. For the year, this is what, 42? And I think it's 42, and it's just August. Usually that's how many people get killed for the year. So we still got a couple more months, to rack up the numbers as we've been doing. But okay, I talked on the talk show, and of course I'm limited, so they're gonna cut me off, and they're gonna add their little 2 cents in, and I gotta kiss a little bit of ass in order to be able to stay on there, so that I don't offend these people and hurt their feelings, because what they don't understand that it ain't about being the star, and who's right and who's coming up with the best this or that. It's about solving the problem. So one of the problems that I had observed is the fact that the problems regarding the violence in our community and communities like ours worldwide in the diaspora, where you'll notice that this type of violence is only affecting one main demographic, in some cases the Hispanics too. But right now I'm talking about black people in this community. One main demographic where people are killing each other, and what I wanted to focus on is the fact that what gives rise to it is being misidentified. Is being misidentified. If you gonna say, okay, there's supposed to be some kind of guy that's coming on the radio soon who's gonna be identifying gang symbols and this, that, and other. They're out there saying that it's gangs that are committing all of these crimes. Apparently, these people saying things like that do not know the Virgin Islands. There's not a significant enough gang influence here to justify the amount of murders that's going on. There's activities of cliques that are affiliated with other things behind the scenes that are going on that people don't want to talk about, like what went on in St. Croix, the execution of a mother and children. What do you think that was? Gangs? There wasn't no damn gangs. There's really what we observing here is a combination of one big soup of a lot of different things, and the misidentification of it, and people refusing to identify our challenges at its root. Namely, things like I'm saying that we have to live up to those terms that I was talking about before. There's certain things that that's not a part of our culture that we have to begin to reinforce right now. That means we have to give up a lot of our old ways, which means you have to do some stool evacuation. You got to get that shit outside of you, from inside of you. So you have to acknowledge that we can't all get revenge. You know, like I've been suffering indignities my entire life, and there's like, but and there's a lot of people who, in my opinion, have done things to me where they deserve to die. And in my mind, you know, this is just a personal. For what they did to me, they deserve to die. And trust me, I'm the type of person that to do it to them. You know, my background, I've been around killers my whole life. I ain't killed my first man, but if I did it, especially for the right reason, I would live with it so easily. No problem. If I actually ever harmed anybody for the wrong reason, well, the first person that I have to contend with is myself in the same respect. I believe in the divinity of all people. I see the divinity in all people, and I believe in the right of everyone to live. That's what I ultimately believe in. If there's some way that we can work it out without coming to such an extreme, um, you know, such as something resulting in the death of anybody, then I prefer to exercise that route. And that's the evolutionary expression in me, because you might be who you are for a reason, for being socialized into that, and you might be the worst killer out there, right? But one day, to be it through a jail experience or just like being an OG in jail, you know, like you OGs out there got so much that lived through all of this. You got so much valuable knowledge that you could pass on to the youth out there. Because while you were sitting up doing them 20 years up in there, you done seen a lot of innocent young boys come in, you know, for weed violations or, you know, just get themselves mixed up because of the fact that they don't have no role models, nobody to look up to point them in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? And throw their lives away and they go in and out. And then eventually that person come like you. And you know that you ain't shit, like, or at least, you know, whatever. But you want to, you got a legacy that you want to leave behind. You know, just like Tookie. You know, Tookie was the worst, but then I don't know if he really just did it to save himself or whatever, but I'd like to think that partner really just wanted to leave something good behind. So all of us who are wicked, or those of them, because I've never been wicked, but those people who are wicked, I've seen the wickedest people come around and do so much good, and it's not really for me to judge. So as an evolutionary, I believe in people's ability to evolve and see the light, and to somehow find a wherewithal within them to say, you know what, I'm not going to be like this no more. In fact, I'm going to be like this. Some of those people, some of the worst crackheads that you may have seen out there smoking the most crack, that you can't even light up a joint in front of them now. They make you feel so bad. You know, you'd be like this, and they'd be like, shut up, you know, but, you know, you was smoking crack, but on the strength, those are people that will tell you, you know, about behaviors that cause them to be who they are and what have you, you know, so, you know, what we have to embrace certain, before I forget, because I'm going to just wrap this up soon. I've been talking for the longest, but I'm going to wrap it up. I basically said what I have to say, but there's certain words, certain things that we have to embrace within ourselves. Like, we have to embrace the meaning of love, what that is. We have to define that as a community. What is love? What is forgiveness? What is patience? What is understanding? Long suffering? What is integrity? What is, you know, what are the 7 deadly sins? You know, like what are the characteristics of man that lead to our fall? Those things are not being discussed. That's the root. You know, we don't want to be putting out fires. You know, we don't want to be starting anything either. We don't have to look for conflict. But listen, if you feel some kind of hurt because of some kind of um, wrongdoing that's been committed against you on at some point or another, right? At some point or another, you're hurt, and you know you want justice, and you think that the justice, and I believe this way for a really long time. I thought that I was supposed to be the executor. I still believe that, but with a different type of energy of any type of justice, you know, that should be levied against anyone that violates you. But now it carries a different energy. You know, I don't want, like, now because I'm familiar with um, with universal law, I know that our actions itself is its own punishment in the moment because nobody gets away. You know, things like reaping what you sow and whatever, even those Rothschilds and all those people who you think got it so good or whatever, they dealing with some awful stuff. And even if that wasn't the case, you know, it takes more away from me to be trying to seek revenge and all of that, you know, and to try to get revenge, you know, and ultimately, like I said, we none of us, like, that person might be evil, but the Most High loves that person too, and that person is misled. I'm only responsible for myself. You know, I ain't trying to sully my garment. You know, I've been born into this world with a nice, clean garment. You know, and I've done a lot of bad things. Don't get me wrong. You know, a lot of things that a lot of people wouldn't agree with, that people would shake their head or their finger at and say, "Man, that was wrong." I'm not totally clean. None of us are. But now I am. You know, now I'm taking pains to make sure that I respect my fellow brother and humanity, brother and sister in humanity. And it starts by seeing the divinity in everybody, you know, and it starts by embracing those concepts that I told you about. Through patience and long suffering. The answers that were not clear to me before, you know, when I was sincere and I asked my creator, like, come on, you know, you see me going through all of this, and you know, how did you allow this to happen, you know, to me? Is there no justice for good people, for the people that serve you and what have you? And of course, the answer wasn't communicated directly to me, but you know, but by example. You know, I've seriously, all the people that I felt deserved for something to happen to them for doing the things that I've done, and I was patient and long suffering and obedient to my father and mother. Guess what? Those people never got away. They're not with us anymore. And I didn't wish it on them. It's just, I guess they got caught up. It was universal law. They got caught up in whatever it is that they was into, you know, and justice was served. And I didn't have to sully my garment, you know. So I'm investigating that some more now. And I think that being a resolutionary is the way for all the people of the planet right now. Because when you're a revolutionary, you don't have. What are you fighting against? You know, you're already negatively charged. You're already charged in such a way that you defeat yourself before you even start. So, I guess that's it, because I have a million more things to say, and right now I've been successful in whatever it is that I wanted to say initially, except when I said a destination that hopefully, in my opinion, we never fully arrive at, but continuously draw nearer to, because I don't ever want us to feel like we reach where we need to go. Because what? Guess what? I say this because at the moment that we begin to think we've arrived at whatever destination that we work towards getting to, that's when our personal development stops. And we don't need that because knowledge is infinite, and there's always more to learn. And as someone who is broken free from the herd or pack or whatever you would like to compare our frequent associations to, you could expect that the way that I look at the world to be a lot different than everyone else. There's nothing to take offense with. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, with all that being said, if you listen to it this far, I'd like to thank you for your indulgence. And finally, I'd like to leave you with these words as I always do. Right on to the real and death to the fakers. Justify your existence or die like a punk. One. This has been another General Fear None Everlasting production. Peace out.